Team Fortress 2 is a game about teamwork. It says it right there in the title. But what if it wasn't? What if you could play Team Fortress 2 without any team to rely on? Enter Solo Fortress 2. Solo Fortress 2 is a TF2 mod developed by Kepler that essentially turns TF2 into a free-for-all.
Hi Kepler!
Pretty much every class has had changes made to them. I played this mod with a couple of friends, including Kepler, to see how each class differs from normal TF2. Now, let's go through each and every class to see how they soloed the fortress. 2. So before we properly get into it, I'd like to mention that there have been changes to all the classes. For every kill a player gets, they get a 20 health bonus, which can overheal the player. Once spawning in, the player has the Uber effect, making them invulnerable for 5 seconds, but during these 5 seconds, they're also unable to use their weapons. Now, our first actual mercenary. Starting with Scout, there have been some changes to his weapons. The Babyface's Blaster. The damage required to lose your boost is increased to 50, but the double jump is just completely gone. The backscatter is mostly the same as it is in base TF2, but just more accurate, making it so you're actually more likely to hit your back mini crits. The only change made to the shortstop is the removal of the increased knockback dealt to Scout, so just a straight buff, which the shortstop really needed anyway. None of Scout's secondaries have had any changes to them, so moving on to melee weapons. 3 of them have been slightly changed. Normally, the Sound Stick deals critical hits to players that are on fire, but deals 25% less damage. In Solo Fortress, the Sound Stick ignites enemies and deals mini crits to burning enemies. The damage penalty also gets removed, but it is now 50% slower to deploy, making the Sound Stick actually viable for once. The only change done to the Candy Cane was the removal of the explosive damage vulnerability. Instead, it got replaced with a flat 10% damage vulnerability to all damage types, making survivability with it slightly more convenient, but I would still rather use the Fan of War, which now deploys and holsters way faster, making it a perfect combo weapon, especially when using the Babyface's Blaster. The first major change that Soldier got was the fact that he can now equip all of the weapons that are now on screen. Other than that, not many of his weapons were changed. None of his primaries changed, so let's just talk about secondaries for a little bit. First, we have the Righteous Bison. The Bison projectile is now twice as fast and deals 200% more damage. Unfortunately, it can't multi-hit anymore, making it more viable as a finisher rather than anything else. Soldier now takes 25% less damage when rocket jumping with either the Manthreads or the Base Jumper equip. Soldier also had a change to all of his melee weapons, that weapon being the Disciplinary Action, which, of course, makes it so only you get the speed boost when hitting enemies, since, you don't have teammates. The next mercenary is, in my opinion, the most fun mercenary to play in Solo Fortress 2. And that mercenary is Pyro. And that's a little strange, since he only had 4 changes to him. 5 if you count the fact that he can now equip the family business. Starting with the secondaries, we have the Scorch Shot. After hitting a target, the projectile inherits the target's velocity, making it bounce off of the target and continue traveling at the same speed offset target. Honestly, I don't really get it. Let me try looking it up. Ah! Oh, I get it now. It does this. Pyro's next weapon to get changed is the Man Melter. And normal TF2, the Man Melter kinda sucks. Though, in Solo Fortress, it's actually kinda good, because you can now extinguish enemies with it. Since, Unfortunately, the Man Melter's projectile is also slower than normal. Melee time! Pyro's had changes to 2 of his melees, these being the Hot Hand and the Sharpened Volcano Fragment. The Hot Hand just got its damage tweaked a little, and its speed boost lasts for 3 seconds instead of 1. Neat! But the Sharpened Volcano Fragment is where Pyro starts becoming really fun. Normally, all the Volcano Fragment does is light enemies on fire, which is admittedly dumb, because Pyro has a flamethrower and everything. So, instead, the Volcano Fragment now has a 100% crit rate against enemies that are not on fire, meaning that you can theoretically combo it with the Man Melter. I say theoretically because it, barely worked for me.
It worked! It worked!
I play Spy, okay, leave me alone. When it comes to Demo, we didn't have too many changes done to him. The main thing is that he can now equip the Manthreads and the Gunboats. Now, you might be wondering why he can equip the Manthreads, since this weapon is usually associated with Trollger. Well, what if I told you that Demo only has 1 weapon change? That weapon being the Scottish Handshake. Instead of being a stock reskin, it is now just a market garter for Demo, meaning that Troll Demo is now viable. Tesco, cue me getting a market guard with Demo.
He got it!
It took way longer than I would like to admit. Heavy has one weapon that was changed, but did get a bunch of general changes. Two of them are nerfs, since a big guy with a minigun is kind of hard to deal with when, you know. The nerfs that Heavy got were damage decrease to his minigun, and he also restores less health when getting a kill. The buffs though, Heavy can now heal from dropped lunchbox items. Dropped lunchbox items heal about half as much as they normally would, but it skips the eating animation entirely. The only weapon that was changed for Heavy is the Natasha. Typically, the Natasha is a very annoying weapon to go up against, but in Solar Fortress, they reworked it entirely, essentially turning it into a very big shotgun. The firing animation is still the same, but essentially is the ultimate fat scout weapon. If you want the exact stats of the weapon, I'll flash them on screen right now. But you have to get ready to pause the video. They will only be on screen for a single frame. Ready? Go! Did you get that? No? Hold up, let me write it for you. Go! Did you get that? No? Hold up, let me write it for you. Go! Did you get that? If you're enjoying this bit, make sure you like and subscribe. I could really use food this month. Anyways, engineer time. Engineer is one of the classes with the most changes done to them, so sit tight. Engineer can now equip the following weapons: the Family Business, the Pretty Boy's Pocket Pistol, and the Winger. Engineer now has a solo teleporter. The teleporter puts Engineer at a random place in the map. Every player could take an Engineer's teleporter. Buildings are now cheaper, and teleporters and dispensers take less time to build. Engineer's max health is increased to 150, but his pistol's reserve ammo dropped to 180 from 200. Now, to Engineer's weapons. I know some of you are foaming at the mouth at the idea that the Pumpson would actually be viable, and I am here to tell you that it kinda is. I still think there are better options for Engineer, but the Pumpson is not at all bad. It now shoots faster. The projectile itself is faster, and it does more damage. Sometimes, barely. The next weapon to get changed is the Rescue Ranger. It now only costs 50 metal to teleport buildings to you, and the Mark for Death effect is now removed, which is good. I like it. The next weapon actually got a really cool change that I'm a big fan of. That weapon is the Short Circuit. First of all, the primary fire stays the same, except that it doesn't cost metal anymore, so you can spam it to your heart's content.
I love the short circuit. I love the short circuit. I love it so much.
The Outfire is where it gets good. Instead of the big energy ball that we all know and love, the Outfire is now essentially just an air blast, but no matter what the projectile is, it will always reflect back as a Cow Mangler's rocket. The only change to the Eureka effect is that instead of teleporting you to spawn, it teleports you around the map to a random location. Engineer's last weapon to get a rebalance is the Gunslinger. Minis are now 66% cheaper, but it doesn't increase Engie's max health anymore. Medic is a little interesting. In order for Medic to function in the free-for-all game mode, he would have to be fundamentally changed. So, Medic is able to heal, overheal, and even Uber himself.
No, I just...
When Ubering himself, the effect stays even if it switches to a different weapon, which essentially turns Medic into a tank that can't deal much damage, but leave him alone for too long, and you will see what happens when he creaks himself and runs at you with the Uber Saw. Speaking of Medic's weapons, only one of his primaries were changed. The crossbow now has 4 bullets in the clip instead of 1, and the entire clip is reloaded at once. Unfortunately though, it no longer reloads passively. On to Medic's melee weapons. A total of 3 of them were changed. The first of which is the Uber Saw, which got a nerf. It now only gives 15% of Uber instead of 25 on hit. The next 2 weapons Medic has have a more interesting change. The Vital Saw completely lost its organ mechanic, but now gives Medic a 5-second speed boost on hit. The Amputator is Medic's last weapon to be changed, and it now gives Medic 40 health on every hit, which probably makes it Medic's single best melee option. Sniper has had a lot of changes done to him, so let's go through them quickly. Sniper now has 150 max health instead of the normal 125. Sniper can now no-scope, dealing 120 damage on headshot. The entire scope HUD is just gone, you can now scope while jumping, and that's it. Now, Sniper's primaries. The Bazaar Bargain's reload speed is now 25% slower. The Machina now has a damage bonus and a penetration effect regardless of charge, but the damage increase is reduced. The Steely Sleeper can now coat people in Jarate even when not scoped. While charging with the classic, Sniper walks faster. Sniper's most interesting changes, his secondaries. First, we have the Razorback. Instead of giving Sniper backstab immunity, it now has up to 90% damage resistance to all damage from behind. Damage scales by how much damage Sniper took recently. Oh, and the overheal penalty is gone too. Everyone's Danger Shield was also completely reworked. Instead of being a middle finger to Pyros, it now increases Sniper's movement speed and jump height. And that's it for Sniper, which means we only have 1 class left. Spy didn't have too many changes done to him. Only 1 weapon got tweaked, but I still think that his changes are the most interesting. You might be wondering how disguises would work, since disguising as another player wouldn't really achieve much. Well, to answer your question, allow me to demonstrate. That's right, Spy can now disguise as props. As of now, Spy can only disguise as a select few props, but also sentries and mini-sentries, which deal knockback to enemies. Also, the Diamondback sucks now. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure to check out the Solo Fortress official Discord server in the description. And while you're there, please do like and subscribe. I'd appreciate it. A lot. I'd also like to note that Solo Fortress is still very much in early stages, so if you'd like to suggest anything to be added or just want to be there from the beginning, I highly suggest you check it out. Alright, bye!